If your novel is missing any one of these three things, then you may be in trouble. You've heard of the fire triangle. Let me introduce you to the story triangle. It's designed to make people stop, drop, and read. I considered making this a three-legged stool, but triangles are easier to draw. And even still, this one looks kind of weird. If you strip away any side of this triangle, then I struggle to see how you can have a story. The 3 points are important, but also the interactions between these points are important elements of your story. So let's talk about the 3 sides of the triangle, why they're important, and how they interact. The first point on the triangle is stakes. Are stakes? Stakes are everything that your character already has or everything that they desire to have. It is everything that they could lose or everything that they could fail to gain throughout the story. Stakes might involve getting into a relationship. They might involve having a family or protecting that family. They might involve the physical safety of your character's community. Stakes also relate to things like morals and beliefs of the characters. All of those are things that will be at stake in the course of the story. Stakes are the physical and mental fuel of the story. They are the tangible and intangible things that your characters will be fighting for. Anything of value in your story is part of the stakes. Stakes are like fuel to a fire, but just like with a fire, a pile of logs alone will not burn. We need the second point on the triangle, and that is conflict. Conflict, when you boil it right down, is any threat to some kind of stake. It's like the spark that starts the story by burning the stakes. Your character wants a romantic relationship, but that relationship is threatened by a romantic rival, or that character's own jealousy, or the fact that one of them is royalty and the other person isn't. Your character wants to uphold the law, but there's some murderer out there defenestrating people with reckless abandon. Your character wants to protect their village, but there are hordes of Vikings knocking at the gates. Give the character something important, either that they have or that they want, and then make something threaten that thing. When you combine these two things, conflict and stakes, that's when you end up with plot. That's this side of the triangle. Your characters are going to go off and deal with the conflict in order to protect the stakes. You need something for the characters to work to fix, that's the conflict, and you need something for them to fight for, that's the stakes. Once you have both of those, you have a plot. But we still don't have a story. For that, we need the third point on the triangle, and that is attention, specifically the attention of the reader. Stories are ultimately about engaging people. Your reader needs to care about what's happening. They need to connect with the plot. This is like oxygen for a fire. It's a crucial element that adds meaning to the other two. Stories are about narrative. Narrative is what adds meaning to the plot and creates value around the stakes and the conflict. Narrative can only exist by engaging the reader because narrative is something that the reader adds to your conflict and your stakes. And in order to do that, we have to draw them in. We have to capture their attention. The reader's interest in protecting the stakes will create tension with the conflict of the story. That's this side of the triangle. The uncertainty about whether the conflict will destroy the stakes will pull the reader in by creating tension. If there's no conflict, or it seems guaranteed that the conflict will overcome the stakes, that the characters won't be able to deal with the conflict, then there will be no tension. Tension only exists in an area of uncertainty. Too much certainty in either direction will break this side of the triangle. The connection that the reader feels to the stakes of the story, to everything that your characters feel are important, is where you get emotional engagement. This is where the sympathy of the reader comes in. That's the bottom part of the triangle. When the reader becomes attached to the characters in your story, they will become attached to the things that the characters care about. When bad things happen, the reader will feel bad. When good things happen, the reader will feel good. Likeable characters that the reader can relate to is often how you get there. You want to have characters in your story that the reader wants to succeed, characters that they root for. That will draw their sympathy, draw their attention in, and make them care about the stakes. Of course, you can go the opposite way and have characters that the reader wants to fail, characters that they are rooting against. The equation is the same. You just have to take the cosine or the tangent or something of it. I don't remember. If you make the reader care, good or bad, then any threat to the stakes will create tension, and this sympathy will make them care about the stakes. This engagement is what separates a plot from a story. A plot is just a sequence of events. A story is something that a reader cares about. It has narrative around it. There's emotion tied to the events. In order to tie that emotion into those events, you have to draw the reader's attention in. Any imbalance between these three sides of the triangle will cause problems in your novel. And increasing one when there's a lack of the other two won't help. You need a balance of all three. It's like adding more fuel to a fire that's already burned up all of the oxygen. You're not going to get more fire. More conflict when your story lacks stakes won't increase emotional engagement. It might theoretically make more tension, but probably not. On the flip side, you can make the reader care as much as you can about the stakes of the story to bump up this sympathy, but if there's not a sufficient conflict threatening those stakes, then there's going to be no tension and you're not going to have a good story. The main point to take away here is that your story needs a balance of different elements, not just more of one element. And what your story needs is going to be specific to your story. You have to consider all of these different areas and how they interact with one another. To build a big fire, you need more than just fuel. You need more than just sparks, more than just hot air. You need a balance between those things. And it's a proper balance between those three that creates the biggest fires or the best stories. So anyway, there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this video and found the advice in it useful. If you want to see more stuff like this, you can check out all my other writing advice related videos and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.